Welcome back to Flicks Forum Podcast with Jesse, Heater and MJ. In this week's episode, we're looking at Netflix's 25th film, the 2014 drama Imperial Dreams, directed by Malik Vitthal, starring John Boyega, Rotimi Akinosho, Keke Palmer, Glenn Plummer and De'Aundre Bonds. Good afternoon.
Hey, mates.
G'day, mate.
Good to be back together again.
Always.
So I guess we need to start off this one. We haven't gone out of order. This film is from 2014. We, in our run of films, we're up to about February 2017 almost. But yeah, this film was released in 2014 and Netflix picked it up to distribute it in 2017.
February 3, so you are right about February.
Yeah, February, yeah.
So what happened in those 3 years beforehand?
That's a good question that I have in my question list.
It just bounced around at film festivals.
Okay.
I did.
So
Played
no
a lot
one,
of film
no one
festivals.
picked it up.
Yeah. We always kick off our show by doing a quick little summary of the film. So it's called Fast Flicks. Heater, give us your Fast Flicks.
All right, mates. So a young man is released from prison and tries to start a normal life while caring for his young son. Many obstacles stand in his way, including his uncle who wants him to return to the gangster life.
Gangster.
Like it. Gangster. MJ. That's you.
A raw insight into life in the projects about the struggles one man encounters when trying to do good and turn his circumstances around, despite the world putting up blockers at every turn.
Oh, sweet. So I've said, a man is released from jail and must deal with the troubles of his past while trying to set the future right for himself and his son. No question mark.
I thought you'd end it with like, will he?
How will he go? Watch the film and find out.
I've got to leave a little bit open. So
That's good, yes,
we're
I liked it.
all on the same lines, which is good. We always...
So watch the same movie?
I'm glad we watched the same film. What did we find out about this film? Like to have a look at some facts or some history that we can find out?
I think we all just went into the most important one that we found out.
Yeah, true.
It was made in 2014. It was 3 years. So it premiered at Sundance on January 2014, and it didn't release on Netflix till Feb 3. So it's almost just over 3 full years of bouncing around domestic, international film festivals.
It won the Audience Award at that Sundance Film Festival as well.
It won a total of 10 awards across a variety of festivals, that's a lot of awards for a film that sits there for 3 years.
But you know what? I can understand why no studio was jumping to release it as well. Where does this fit in? If you're a studio head, where are you releasing this film, and how do you want to position this film? It's difficult because, I can understand it being popular with critics, and people who watch it will probably enjoy it. But I also think a lot of people will be like, oh, that's not for me. It's a bit too heavy, a bit too raw. I'll just stay away from that one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure if it was one that would have even done well in the cinemas kind of thing, and it did very much feel like a Netflix movie, like you're just one that you want to watch at home, because of those reasons.
And I wonder how much the decision by Netflix to pick it up had to do with John Boyega being in Star Wars, and obviously when he made this film that was not a thing. So I wonder if they go, look, there's probably a bit of a safer bet here that we can position him as our star and actually get some traction with it.
I watched till the end of the credits because I was just a little bit intrigued. I always try to watch the credits. So the film was actually supported by the Sundance Institute feature film program, so with Time Warner as a fellowship. So the script was developed by a bunch of these people at the Jerusalem International Lab. So it's a television film school. So it's like a bunch of at this school where people have helped form this picture, which I thought was really interesting.
Is that right?
Yeah. So right at the end of the credits, hang around, and it's got at the end there, it's supported by this Institute Sundance to help build people with their screenwriting and creating a film, which I thought was really cool.
I wonder it won an award at Sundance.
Look after their own.
I wonder the Audience Award though.
Yeah, they probably knew.
Yeah.
The son in this Day, he's played by twins. I thought that was cool.
I didn't know that until I saw the credits.
So I thought that was cool. It's played by two twins.
What was his real name? His full name was something Day or Day something or
Daytona was his first name.
Daytona,
that's right.
Which is a video game, isn't it?
Dayton, wasn't it? There was an E on the end.
I thought it was Daytona.
But
you know what?
It was Dayton.
Makes more sense. It wasn't Daytona.
I'm pretty sure it's Dayton. That sounds more. Yeah.
Let's go with Daytona. That sounds better.
Just thinking of going to time zone driving in Daytona now.
Teenage parents, eh?
That's what I was thinking the whole time. Like, this is a car racing game, isn't it?
Well, I don't know how many people in the projects there were playing Daytonas, to be honest.
Yeah. They're busy doing other things.
What about the title? I thought this was an interesting title because it means a couple of different things.
Yeah, go.
Well, you go. I want to see if you've got the same thing as me.
No, I'm just saying the title didn't resonate with me at all. If someone's like, "What movie did you see?" and if I said, "What movie did you say?" They saw Imperial Dreams, I'd be like, "Okay, whatever." Like it just doesn't stick with me at all.
It intrigued me as to why it was titled this. I guess because I jumped on Netflix and I just saw the quick sentence summary of what it was, and I'm like, "Oh, Imperial Dreams." Okay, I'm not sure how that fits at all. I'm sure you've got some good insight.
Well, so obviously towards the end of the whole gist of this is that he wants to break free from this hood or this gangster life, and he wants to write a book. So you see at the end he's typing away on this book and he titles it Imperial Dreams. So that's one of the reasons. Another thing that I picked up in the credits was where it was filmed. So the housing blocks that it was filmed, they're called the Imperial Courts housing.
Oh, well,
so the housing block is Imperial. Okay. And then the reason that they're called that is because the highway that runs through the middle is called the Imperial Highway in LA.
Okay.
So it's got a little bit of background as to why it's called that now. So I thought I didn't know that before the film.
Yeah.
And like you guys said, Imperial, why, what's in that film title? Yeah. And I think they make mention as well in the film about the Imperial Highway.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that sounds a bit like religiously, but it's actually the highway that runs through the middle.
Because Imperial Dream, you just say that could be about anything.
Yeah.
And you see it when he's looking out over to see the jail where his girlfriend is, and that's that highway. So,
that actually
makes a bit more sense.
It's a really good title with all that context.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that context means to anyone outside of that area, or
true. And it's not that obvious by watching the film.
No, and I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah. Anything else, or what about the critical consensus?
Real positive.
Very positive.
From critics, real positive.
92% on Rotten Tomatoes on 12 reviews. Which is pretty high.
Would have thought of that more reviews for a film that's been around for
especially with playing a lot of festivals.
I thought it would be more than that with critics.
It seems like not
what
many.
Was the audience rating?
Audience was 83% on Rotten Tomatoes on 617. So it's still pretty on the low side.
It's really
had a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb and a 3.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
So they're big. That's the same score, isn't it?
It's exactly the same. Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
It's pretty big scores, but again, it's a really small sample size. So not a lot of people saw this film. Have seen this film.
Yeah. So like I said, it's filmed in and around LA, and obviously around these Imperial Courts housing in LA.
First feature film of the director. He'd done a few shorts before this. It was his first feature one though.
Yeah. So very, very similar track record from. We should mention too. This is our 25th episode.
Yay, 25.
Yay, 12. It's half a century.
That's pretty good.
Well, sorry, a quarter of a century. I'm getting there.
It's half a century.
Half a century. I'm not good with maths. I think I've said that every episode.
Yeah, we should have celebrated that.
We should have celebrated that.
Well done, boys.
25 episodes
Good
in,
work, boys.
and we're still making connections with how the directors are all pretty up and coming.
Yeah.
And we will hit a stage eventually where there are big name directors.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
Absolutely,
Because I think Angelina Jolie is probably one of the first ones that comes up.
We've got Ricky Gervais already, though.
We do have Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
True. Did he directed that?
Special Correspondence, he did.
Oh, wow. I forgot already. Yep. So I'm doing well. What about some characters? Let's talk about some characters. What do we like about or dislike about some of these characters?
Well, I thought that John Boyega, how do you say?
From Star Wars, So he plays the Stormtrooper,
I haven't seen that new Star Wars.
What? Haven't you?
No, I'm not a big Star Wars guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the original 3.
Yep.
New Hope, Empire Return. Haven't seen any since then.
Empire Strikes Back.
No. Is that the one?
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you said Empire, which is Empire Strikes Back.
You said Empire. Like, everyone knows the name Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, no, you can just
going through them. Just going through them.
Peter, I think you can just call it Empire and that's fine.
Yeah, Jesse knew exactly what I meant.
No, you can call it Empire, but when you say Empire Returns, that's what I'm getting the line.
No, and then he was going to Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Sorry.
I'm just quickly going through. Come on, mate.
I thought you said Empire Returns, and I'm like,
no,
I'm sorry.
Empire and then Return. But no, yeah, I saw those.
So you're not familiar with Jar Jar Binks?
I know who he is. Yeah. But I mean, so I hadn't seen him in that, but I don't really think I'd seen him in anything. But I was really impressed with him. I thought he was really, real good.
I thought he was awesome in this.
Yeah, I agree. The character itself, I think we're talking about characters more.
The character wasn't.
And he's British. Like,
I know. Everything I've seen him in, he's been American. Because he's in The Circle as well. And obviously Star Wars and this. Get yourself a British film, mate. You'll be a lot more comfortable. But he nails it. He does so well.
He could have been an Eye-Boy. He could have been one of the gangsters in Eye-Boy.
Really strong, thoughtful character.
Yeah.
Like the decisions that he makes would have been such difficult decisions. But you know what? They set him up in a way that I can't imagine him making the opposite of those decisions, right? And the one thing that I kind of didn't like about him was that he's obviously turned things around whilst being in prison. He's changed the way he thinks. He's changed his direction. I can't see him being anything other than that, right? I can't see, obviously, before he went to prison...
Where he was a gangster, obviously.
Yeah, he was doing the wrong thing. He was doing enough to go into jail.
It's hard to see that, isn't it?
Exactly. I've got this thoughtful writer who's understanding of what he's doing.
Because there's one scene where they tried to show him, like, where he pulls the gun on his uncle and all that sort of stuff, and even that wasn't really that believable. Like, it was like...
No, it wasn't. And even then, like, his reason for doing it was, like, the right thing. Like, he kept... So that was the one thing I struggled with a little bit with him, because he was an excellent character, and he's like the only thing that kind of keeps the heartbeat of this film going.
I thought the on-screen relationship between him and his son was fantastic. I thought
excellent.
That was great.
And like, you really understood why he cared for his son, and he wanted a better life for him than he had. And you know, all he wants from him is to be safe, to go to school. But in that same way, he, like Bambi, he was looking out for everyone. Like, you know, he takes the bullet out of Gideon's arm. Like, even though this Gideon guy's obviously killed a kid, like, and done the wrong thing, he looks after his son. You know, his brother Wayne, like, he wants him to go to school. He wants the right thing for him, and
he tells him he's not allowed to go to do that car run. And even when the guy says he's going to do it, he's like, "No, you're not doing it."
He was the one that like puts himself in trouble because Wayne was going to do it.
Exactly.
And you know, and even though he's got this strayed relationship with his mother, like, one of the opening scenes is he picks her up off the floor and puts her on the couch to make sure she's comfortable. So he's doing the right thing by everyone all the time.
Still taking his son to see his mother, like to visit her in jail.
Does the right thing by everyone. So but I really liked him as a character.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Any other characters you want to talk
about? I didn't care much for his Uncle Shrimp. Glenn Plummer. I mean, he's trying to play that, you know, kind of the head gangster kind of guy in their thing. I didn't think his character was great compared to, you know, I've watched a lot of gangster movies.
Yeah.
He wasn't great as a character, I didn't think.
What do you think about, so what do you mean by that? Like, because I think, like, his expectation of Bambi, that he's just going to come back in and work, and if he doesn't work, it's like you're being incredibly disrespectful. I just feel like there should have been a lot more kind of family involved in that. He can see he wants to go down the right path. He's got a young kid that it seems like the uncle had been taking care of a bit. Like, help out your nephew with his son if he wants to go on the straight and narrow, rather than, nah, you're back in this, I'm throwing you out on the street. Like, I think the same thing as a 29-year-old white male living in Australia. Why can't you understand that this guy's got a son? And I think you're supposed to think that.
I think
everyone who can't resonate with it.
Exactly. But
this is obviously what it's like.
Exactly,
and this is why it's so difficult what Bambi's doing.
Yeah.
Why do you
because he's got that pressure.
Why do you think it's called Shrimp? Is it because you can rip his head off and like he's done and dusted?
I read a review where someone, one of the writers said, you know, Uncle Shrimp is like, you know, the cheesier the name, the harder the gangster, or something like that. Like, I'm not sure where he pulled that from, but it seems like a weird name.
The first thing, before I watched the film, I looked at the cast list and the top 3 characters and the top 3 cast people. So you've got Bambi, then you've got Shrimp, and then the next character was Gideon, who's the guy And to me, I was like, okay, Bambi, Disney, Shrimp, I think straight away, Little Mermaid, and then Gideon from Pinocchio. And I was like, to me, like, just looking at that straight away, I was like, there's 3 Disney characters, like, straight away. Like, I was like, I don't know, I feel like the Bambi name was on purpose.
Yeah, same.
Like, massively.
Only because, like, where do you hear the name Bambi anywhere else?
And he made a couple of, like, really distinct, like, explicit sort of comments, like, you know, finding my way through the forest or the foster care forest and all these sorts of things, like, for his son, with no guidance and all that sort of stuff.
No mother,
all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I was just like, that was just my brain going overload. But
I can see that. I didn't pick up on it, but I can definitely see it.
Yeah, and like, anyway.
Anyone called Wayne in a
Wayne? No, couldn't think of any Wayne. I was like, Wayne's World. It's a party time. No.
So with Uncle Shrimp though, he kind of comes around a little bit. As I said, I agree with what you're saying about how unreasonable he's been, and he's supposed to seem incredibly unreasonable. Because then I'm sitting there going, what the hell is he supposed to do? Like, he has nowhere to go. As if you're kicking him out for this reason. Why don't you understand? I'm like, well, no, this is the situation that Bambi is in, and this is obviously the situation from a wider perspective of what people have to go through and how they get stuck in this life. But the scene where obviously when Gideon dies and you see that softer side of Shrimp, just for a little bit, because straight away he's like, here's your gun, let's go kill him.
Yeah.
And then obviously at the end when he has the upper hand on Bambi in the car and he talks about disrespecting him, and you see from his perspective, because I've done everything for you, I looked after your son, I raised you when you were a kid, you know, don't you ever speak to me like that. And you can see in another world that he would just fire away. And
But on that though, like I think you find out at the end that Bambi went to jail because he covered for him.
No.
So like he, you know, I think when
I think he owes him more.
Yeah, when Uncle Shrimp was like, you know, I raised you, I took care of you, all this stuff. It's like, yeah, because I went to jail for you.
I'm not saying Uncle Shrimp's a good character. Sorry, a good person.
Yeah.
But I do like the way they actually did flesh his character out.
Yeah.
You could understand where he's coming from, because I'm the same. Like 95% of people that watch this will be like, I don't relate with that at all. Why are you treating him like this? But I get it. I kind of get it, and I get what they're trying to say with it.
And there was another scene like where they're sitting there with Shrimp, and you know, Wayne's like asking him for money, and you know, he's sitting there and he goes, "Here's some cash, just clean my house up for him." So he did have that thing like, okay, I can see you down and out. Just do something meaningless for me, and I'll give you some cash, sort of thing. So
that's true.
He did have a little bit like, there were times throughout where you saw he had a nicer sort of.
There was something there.
Something there. Yeah. He wasn't just this hardcore gangster. But there's the same for Gideon as well, because Gideon, like, you know, from the moment you meet him, he's a wanted man, and you can tell things aren't going to go well for him.
He's all over the place.
But before he gets killed, there is a scene where he sits there and he's sitting there with Bambi, and his son Day's there, and he's like welling up with tears because he knows that he's killed a kid that's almost like that same sort of age. And,
exactly.
So even though there were these hardcore sort of bad people, and the same with the mum.
He had a lot more of a softer side though, Gideon as well. Like at the very start, where he's like, "Come on, you know, let's go and get him," and he's like, "No, I've got to take care of my son." He's like, "Oh, okay, I respect that," you know, and. Even though he committed a crime, he stole that laptop for him because he needed a laptop to try and find a job. It's cool. I'll get your laptop. Don't worry about it. Like he was doing these things to help him out, and he wasn't trying to force him back into that criminal world. Because straight away he's like, "I've got to take care of my son." Oh, yeah. You know what? You do.
Yeah, I liked that none of the characters, like they were bad characters, but like as in not evil, but like bad mannered sort of characters. But they all had a good side to them.
Yeah, I agree.
Even like the fat Joe, not fat Joe, whatever, the fat guy who's standing out and smoking the weed on the car. He's even like, you know, you should get rid of that gun because if you get pinned with that gun, you're going to be in trouble. Like they were still looking out for each other. Yeah, exactly. Any other characters, or do you want to talk about some scenes?
I think the only other thing is that Wayne really fooled me with his suits. I didn't realise how down in his luck he was. I was like, this guy's got it going on. He's living in a place where criminals aren't allowed to live. Yeah. He looks great every day. He's sort of going to school, or trying to go to school. But no, just as desperate, just as down his luck as everyone else.
Yeah, true. True. Heath, what stood out for you? What were some good scenes?
I liked the DMV scene because it really highlighted like the obstacles in Bambi's path of trying to get back on the straight and narrow, where
so literal.
He was trying to get a driver's license, but he couldn't get a driver's license because he owed child support. But he couldn't pay his child support because he couldn't get a job, and he couldn't get the job without the driver's license. It's just he's out of prison. He's trying to do the right thing, but that just really showed how tough it's going to be for him because it's just a big circle.
It's this constant.
He can't
struggle.
fix one problem because there's another problem that he can't do without the other.
And sort of spoke of this broken system they have as well, which I think they mentioned throughout the film as well. The one thing about so obviously through this, and he talks about it a lot, this constant need for like technology to advance himself almost because he needs to. But so when he drops his manuscript off at the thing, the chick behind the counter goes, "Oh, can I contact you with your email address?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, sort of thing."
I was a bit confused by the email thing because it's like, hang on, we know you don't have a computer.
What's his other option though? Mail.
Or
because that's what I thought. I'm like, at least email.
I would have thought like he would get a phone from one of his family who can steal him a phone somewhere. Like
I just assumed he'd go to the library and log on to his email.
Which he did at the end to write his book.
Because when she said email,
but did he have an email address at the time though? Like,
maybe that was something they probably.
I guess you assume he did because he gave her one, but I don't see like. We're not sure how long he's in prison for, but he doesn't seem like a kind of guy that has an email address.
And I was glad when he had the email, when they said contact by email, because I'm like, you can't call him or mail him. This is where my car's parked.
Spot number 65 on.
I'll be there. No, you can.
No.
I also really like the sequence. It was kind of towards the end where the confrontation in the uncle's house. He punches his uncle. He's got the gun. He's trying to fight him off. He goes running off. The cops pick him up. They take him kind of towards the other gang, like scaring him and stuff. And then again, he's running again, trying to find his kid. That whole kind of, I don't know, it's probably like a 10-minute scene. Really liked that.
I didn't like the cops putting him in the car to go see those gangsters and opening the door, because I was like, this guy's been down and out enough. You don't need the thought of these guys onto him as well.
Well, the cops supposed to be good.
They were they were because they took in there because they're like, we know one of these guys killed Gideon.
Yeah.
We know you saw it. You know, we want to arrest him. Like, help us. I think they should have gone about it in a much better way that doesn't risk his life. But they were trying to catch this guy's killer, and they knew that Bambi knew who the killer was.
Yeah, but I don't like the way they did it.
Wasn't the right way to go about it at all. But I guess it also showed kind of how the cops treat these guys, and they didn't like them putting him there and them showing the gang him in the cop car puts a risk at his life because they'll think, he's ratted. So I think it just shows another obstacle that Bambi has in that the cops aren't giving him a fair go. He's done his time, he's out now, but he's still not given a fair go.
But then the cops seem generally remorseful when he's like sorry about right at the end with the kid.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm really sorry. And I don't know, I couldn't quite tell because at the start they're like, what's the cop's name, Martinez or something. When he pulled him over, like, it's him. Oh, yeah. Right. I'm like, okay, so I don't like this guy. And then by the end, I'm like, do I not like him? Like, what do we feel about the cops in this?
See, one of my questions was, what does that detective, what does he have it in for him for? It seems like,
it was something about the arrest for when he went to jail.
Yeah,
place, obviously.
I would have liked a bit more backstory more as to why this guy just seemed to have it in for him. Because, it seemed like, he...
Keeping a real close eye.
As soon as he gets out, he pulls him over. He's giving him a hard time. But
I've been out for 27 hours.
Yeah. but he obviously he knew exactly who it was. So there's obviously some history there.
Yeah.
But why? I would have liked to know why this detective, why he doesn't like Bambi and what went on in their past to make him feel this way.
And it kind of annoyed me with them as well, because the first scene, so Bambi makes that choice to leave Shrimp's house, and he gets help from the guy on the street with the bike to push the car to that car park wherever it was.
My favourite scene.
And there is a shot there of the cops sitting there watching them do that.
Mm.
So the cops have known from the very start of the film that he's living in a car. And then they decide at the end, because he's trying to find his son and they're living in a car, that they're going to rat him out then.
So I think that the cops at the start watching going, he's moving out of Shrimp's house.
I think it's a good thing.
This is a good thing.
Yeah.
And then by the end, it was only because child services were alerted in the first place by him cutting his arm that the child services are probably like, hang on, this bloke doesn't live here. They might have gone to the cops and said, where is he?
But when they dropped him off after doing the drive-by to the gang, the chick cop says to him, he goes, a car's not a great place for a kid to live.
Yeah.
So, I don't think the cops ever had an issue with it.
Yeah, I think they were still in their own way, still trying to look out for him or not trying to look out for him, but giving that advice that we know that you're trying to do good. Maybe we can see that now.
But they made it out like that Hernandez guy had it in for him.
They did.
So but then by the end, I don't think he did.
He seemed real remorseful when he was getting his kid taken off him. He was kind of like, look, I'm really sorry, Bambi, but it's
just the way he said it.
What about when he pulls them over with Wayne in the car, and then they let Wayne get up first, and makes
that's what I'm saying. That's the first time.
At the start, it was like, he's really got it in for him. But maybe then, because the movie goes on and he sees that, hey, you know what,
he's trying.
Yeah, he's not going to go back into the criminal life. You know. He's reformed in prison, maybe, so maybe the cop can see that, and gradually it gets to the point, because, he says, look, I want to get this guy who's killed your cousin, and then towards when, his kid's being taken away, he definitely is not as, hating him, I guess, as much as
why
at the start.
You see the cop car when he's moving his car out there. It's not because, we're going to sting him for living in his car. It's because, he's actually taken some steps to getting away from this life.
Then if you're that caring about him, don't drive him and put him in front of all these gang members when they know he's trying to look out for his son.
Yeah, that was
because that just confused me.
I think but you know what? They actually seemed to understand the error of their ways, almost immediately once they did that.
Yeah, and
they realised that he's looking for. Hang on, this is a mistake by us.
Yeah.
But I'm still perplexed on how we're supposed to feel about policemen in this. Yeah. In the wider picture here.
Mm-hmm. What else stood out?
Well, that was my favourite scene, is when he's moving the car and he's setting up the lights and stuff, and I'm just like, yes, mate, you do this. He doesn't regress once. He's always moving forward, moving forward. And to that point as well, I really liked the scene where he visits Day's mum in jail, and it just made me feel like there's enough going on for this character that he can turn it around. There's enough good things around going to be bloody hard to get around all this. But when he came up with her, and there was a bit of a fun relationship between the two of them, and I'm like, this guy has something not to live for, but he has something that there's a reason why he wants to make these changes.
And I think it was also in one of the visits he tells her, like, I've been reading that they're going to let, they're going to cut sentences or something. So he's still taking interest in his boy's mother to say, hey, we can get you out earlier, I think.
I really liked the first time that we meet Day. So obviously, Bambi's out of prison, walking down the street, comes home, finds a mum, finds Day sitting.
They didn't mess around, did they?
No.
You start this film, it's really dark, and then there's a lady on the floor and a kid just sitting there. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we into here?
And the kid's literally sitting there. Instead of sitting in front of a TV, he's sitting in front of a liquor stand. Like, it was just bottles of alcohol. So anyway, so the kid walks off, and then you see him playing with this toy horse. And I liked that horse, the toy horse, throughout the thing, because you see, and one thing throughout this film is walking. They walk everywhere. It's walking. And as they walk, they see guys riding horses. And then there's that scene where he pays to get Day on the horse. And it's just this, every time it's to do, like, he's just a kid. It reminds you that he's a kid. He rides a horse. He's loving life. And then what really got me was like that final scene towards the end where Child Protection are taking him, and he's sitting in the backseat of the car, and then Bambi comes up and gives him that toy horse and just says, I'm going to see, you are a kid. This is okay because it's going to be best for you, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there in the end.
My only nitpick with this is, what the hell are those horses doing?
Oh my God, I better say
in the middle of the projects in like this one little tiny block of land.
How are there two horses there? Like, who owns them? Why are they living there? What were the horses doing there?
Do they just go, hey, any kids want to have a ride for $5?
That made no sense at all. The reason the horses were there in the project.
I get it. They needed something.
Yeah, they needed a bit
to continue to refer back to, but that was.
But that was just.
It could have been a toy hippopotamus or something. Just a pond in the middle of it.
I would have felt the same way about it.
Because the horses just didn't fit.
Yeah.
Couldn't he like dogs or something?
I didn't even... I was that into like what was happening. I wasn't even considering why there's horses here.
Well, the first time it happened was when they were just walking. He's like, look, horses. I was like, what the hell are they doing there?
Well, at first I'm like, there's going to be some police on horses going around. Then I'm saying, no, they're not cops. They're just people...
Cowboys.
On horses in... Central LA or wherever they were in LA in like the projects. I'm like, that doesn't fit. Yeah. That's strange.
I like that, like this theme of like, or not theme, but like idea that he's writing this book to better himself. Like this book's his get out. It's to tell his story and move forward and share this with other people. But there are a lot of the lines that he was writing, and I don't think the voiceover did it justice. Like, I feel like the voiceover sort of it made it seem more corny than it was supposed to be. Some of the lines that were said. I don't know. I
think it was a bit corny, and it's kind of okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was alright.
I like the setup of like this location as well. Like the projects, like, there's rubbish everywhere, the unmown lawns. There's like this guy doing a wheelie on the grass on like this ride-on mower, and
that's right.
there's dogs eating trash, and the constant helicopters overhead. We saw that multiple times. These helicopters, so it's a down and out area, and like we just spoke about it before when he goes and visits the mum in jail. Like, as he visits, the first shot is you get this shot of the barbed wire fence and the American flag. So it's like these people are trapped in their own country. It doesn't matter if they're on this side of the fence or on that side of the fence. They're trapped. I thought that was cool. And the kiddie pool. What did you think of the kiddie pool? I thought the kiddie pool on the roof so that they could still have that connection with mum.
Can you see that?
Can you see the kiddie pool? And it sort of led on to water, because like there were lots of scenes where they were washing in the shower, bathing, all that sort of stuff, and I liked
in the sinks
in public toilets. That sort of reminded me a little bit of Pursuit of Happiness, like Will Smith.
Massively,
But like these were the best sons of like the son and dad together. Like it's because there was like no dialogue. The sound was just the two of them together, like enjoying the time together.
The only lines I reckon Day had in the whole film were like okay and yes.
Yeah. And what colour shirt do you want to wear?
Yeah, yellow.
Yeah. It changed a couple of times throughout the film. I couldn't keep track of what was going on though. But this whole every time they're washing, it leads to that final scene where they go to the pool.
Yeah, it was in the pool. Yeah,
and it's like we're being baptized together, sort of thing. And,
I didn't like how literal that voiceover was.
Yeah. And I like the scene in the car where Dave's he's just being a kid, he's humming, and it gives his dad like the torture. It's like he blows up. It's like this is a kid you got to remember.
Yeah.
Imagine how bored that kid would be.
Oh my God, he was so bored.
I know.
That's my standouts. And
no, it's good.
Yeah, I've done mine.
Yeah, all right. So what didn't stand out? What can we forget about this film?
Well, as good as Bambi was to his son and trying to raise him and stuff, there was still a few scenes where like he swore in front of him, he was drinking in front of him, and he was smoking weed in front of him, which it felt like it didn't fit because of how good a father he was trying to be. But the swearing and drinking and
He
smoking
gave up
weed
on
in
the
front of
swearing
him.
pretty quickly.
He did.
He was pretty fine to just swear in front of him.
Yeah.
Is what I mean.
Yeah,
Like, he didn't care about that.
But kind of that end scene before he goes back to his uncle where he's talking to the guy in the car. He drinks beer, he smokes some weed, and his son's sitting right next to him. Bit iffy for me. In that same scene as well, he grabs the beer, takes the cap off, has a sip, and puts the cap back on, and puts it back.
They're not wasteful, mate. They're not made of money. Someone else can have it.
That was really weird.
When Gideon was killed, did you see those guys that came out of the car to kill him? Some of the worst acting I've ever seen.
I've got this down. They didn't look like gangsters.
No, I reckon
the guys
they
doing
were
like the jump skips across the thing.
Yeah, I'm like, I think we haven't hired anyone to actually kill you.
Yeah.
I'm like, these boys over here, you guys can do it. Yeah, that's how it felt. It was woeful.
I did not believe those two at all.
There was no gun training I'll tell you what.
Yeah, they just weren't gangsters that fit into that film at all. Those two were bad.
And we're talking about guys that were basically silhouettes. Like we didn't even have to see them.
Yeah.
They were still shocking.
Yeah, they were bad.
That was the worst. You go, Aaron.
I didn't like him taking Gideon's gun. So I get that he probably wanted to make sure like that Gideon wasn't found with a gun on him.
When he was shot.
When he was shot. So that's sort of him thinking for him because he doesn't want him to find a gun that's probably going to link back to that kid that's been shot. I get that, but like, he goes and hides it and obviously he comes back and gets it later, but it's like he's constantly telling everyone that, that's not him anymore, but he still hid it. Like he didn't dispose of it straight away.
Like maybe he's
dispose it, get rid of it. Yeah. Because he's happy once he uses the gun to just throw it down the gutter or throw it on the roof. He could have just done that straight away without that temptation of it having to be there. So I didn't like it because I didn't think that fitted in with the rest of.
I think it was good that he took the gun here to kind of protect him, but I think it also shows that he still can't escape that gangster life just yet. Like he's trying as hard as he can, but he's still got these pullbacks, and that's why he hasn't got rid of the gun because he's not fully escaped from that life yet.
Plot point.
Yeah. And you'll need the gun back in the end.
There's like a scene where Wayne, Day, and Bambi walk into a church, and there's like this really prolonged shot on the crucifix cross at the top of the wall, and then the pastor or the deacon or whatever he was feeds them. I just felt that was just put in there with no further follow through. Like it was just like, this is just a job opportunity, but there was just this prolonged, like, it was like they were trying to relate religion into it somewhere. There was nothing that led through from that.
No, said, I'll keep an eye out for a job and, take your leftover food.
It was just, and then that was it. It wasn't like, he's got this faith, so that's going to relate it back to him or anything like that. It was just like this random scene.
It was almost literally like if someone's sitting there watching the film going, when the hell does he eat? They're like, well, we'll put a scene in.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah. I didn't like that when he keeps calling his son Angel Boy, because apparently the softer the name, the harder the man. I was just like, that was a bit corny.
Oh, see, that's the Uncle Shrimp.
Yeah.
Like a real soft. Weird name.
Yeah.
Because the harder the man.
It wouldn't be called a prawn. Uncle Prawn.
Well, they call it shrimps over there.
Shrimps feel tiny and irrelevant.
I didn't like... So when Bambi leaves Day with Wayne to babysitting just for a little bit, I didn't like that he cut his arm, child protection came. I thought that blow up was like...
How does he cut himself? Seems like a
and
decent,
why is child protection
seems like a decent cut.
Yeah.
And who dobbed him in?
That was a bit too convenient.
And I thought it was such a weird blow up because prior to that, him and Wayne was nothing but good.
Yeah,
it's literally this one thing that's just going, bang,
yeah.
I hate you, you've stuck me.
And it's because like he was just on the phone to someone and like pretty quick for him to get outside, cut himself and someone to see it
child
and fall.
Were like, we're here, where's your dad?
I thought the blow up was just out of character from what we'd seen so far and their relationship.
Rushed, wasn't it? That whole thing.
That's true. That was terrible.
Because their relationship prior to that had not been nothing but positive.
It was great.
And looking out for each other.
Yeah, like he tried to get him to live with him.
Yeah, and sign my book that you've written a short story in.
Yeah.
Let's get you to college, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And one last thing I thought was really awkward was there's that scene where Shrimp's trying to get he's sitting there with Wayne and Bambi, and he's like trying to get his mum to do stuff, and it's just like there's no need for that. It's just not needed.
Yeah, that wasn't needed at all.
But it gave Bambi another opportunity to protect his mum.
It did. Yeah.
It also, I think, as much as those uncomfortable scenes where is someone's sitting there going, "This is how it is, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can get uncomfortable as much as you want. This is the life people are living.
This is what happens.
That's all for me.
Okay. I'm good.
All right,
I'm good.
Let's talk about some underlying themes or things that were being said in the film. There's a fair bit.
There's a lot, yeah.
Peter?
I think the big one is the obstacles for these guys to reform once they get out of prison and to adapt back into life. You know, you've got the struggles to get a job, the struggle to get a driver's license. You know, he couldn't live in this certain housing because they don't allow criminals in there. So there's just so many obstacles really once they're out of prison to help them. You know, it's kind of like we want you to reform in prison, you're out, now you're just on your own, and it's just no surprise that a lot of them go back to that criminal life because there's just no support for these guys who get out of prison.
Bang on, mate.
Yeah, this broken system that you know you can't be rehabilitated if they're not there to help you do it.
Exactly, yeah. And like, you know, the cops are still harassing him even when he's out. You know, he's done his time and they're still harassing him.
The father-son relationship I thought was a really good theme as well, like being there. Because on the other side, the female role models in this were probably lacking.
Yeah.
Considering like there's obviously a purposeful choice that the dad's the one out there looking for the son while the mum's still in jail, and obviously Bambi's mum's down and like even when her two sons Wayne and him are both there, and she's like, "Have you got some rocks?" Like she wants the drugs even though they're her two sons, so it's very lacking. And even then when she does take Day and takes him to safety, she's feeding him with a bottle, like which
he's
was
too
like,
old for that.
Yeah, she's got no idea.
She's also taking him to like some drug den.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, she probably had nowhere else to go. But
Yeah. So the lack of like female role models for these guys as well is probably sort of talking about, you know, maybe if they did have better female role models, we wouldn't be in this sort of situation.
It's also probably a reflection of how the women are impacted in this world as well. Like what chance do they have? Like they're almost not even in this film.
Yeah. I spoke before about too, like the projects is just like a prison for a lot of these people as well. Like, are they better off in prison sometimes than they are outside here as well?
I think the thing I liked most about it was how Bambi was obviously trying to do the best he can despite his circumstances. And there's a quote from Shrimp when he's in the car and he's saying there are reasons why we are the way we are.
Yeah.
And there's that excuse to avoid change versus, man, Bambi has every reason to stop trying to change because it's too hard, right? But there's just that different mentality.
Yeah.
And what if you really want to, there's a chance.
Yeah.
And it's only a chance.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a real, like...
It's tough chance, Like, it's still really hard to do, but there is an option rather than accepting it, which is what Shrimp does.
And it's like almost that feeling of expectation where you're expected to do what you've been born to do. Like, you know, Bambi had to reject like this brotherhood almost, like he had to continually reject not only family but these expectations of him throughout. What did you think about walking? I wrote this down like early on. I was like, walking is a theme. So obviously he didn't have a car that worked to start with, but to me, like that walking sort of built on that relationship with him and his son. It gave them time together.
Yeah, it gave them time.
It gave us as an audience a view of that community as well. But I just liked that, you know, they're walking. He's walking forward. He was never going backwards. He's always walking because he's trying to make a future. Because there were hardly any scenes of him walking by himself. Whenever he was by himself, he was running. Yeah, so he's running to find his son, or he's on the train, So whenever he's going forwards, he's with his son, and it's like he's trying to push forward for that walking. And there were multiple scenes of them walking.
Oh, yeah,
multiple scenes. And I liked that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's good.
And as well, loss. Like, there was like a quote towards the end where they were like, the only ones that stop you from fighting a gang from, you know, they're the ones that make you a loser if you don't continue to fight. And I liked that because there's a lot of loss in this film.
Oh yeah,
yeah. A lot of death, and it's just like something that's probably an everyday thing for a lot of those people.
That's the problem. Yeah. It's a reality, and I think they want to make you feel as this is super normal when this happens.
And you mentioned that before because with Shrimp, like we saw him lost for like 2 seconds, and then I was like, okay,
all right,
back to
better go kill someone who killed him.
Yeah. Cool. What do we take away from this film?
I thought it had a real boys in the hood type feel to it. Pretty similar kind of messaging in film, which, you know, it's all that portrayal of trying to do good, rather than being thrown into the gangster life and trying to get away from that, trying to make something of yourself.
Yep.
So yeah, real similar.
MJ.
Took me a while to get into it or interested in it, to be honest. More interested in it because they set up that he wanted to be a writer, and I was like, cool. It doesn't mean anything to me yet, but it does give him some sort of direction. And obviously, he needs to get a job. And I think he went. Where did he go when someone said, "Oh, you need to get a job"? That's actually one of the. I can't remember where it was. Like a library, not even a library. Maybe it was a police station or something. He went somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, you need to get a job." And as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, this gives him like a proper direction as opposed to, I want to be a writer. I was like, oh, where's that going to go though? Like, you've just set up this world that you're not just going to get published tomorrow.
Yeah.
So when I found like he had a little bit of an aim, and obviously he never gets a job, right? But I kind of at least enjoyed that direction.
Yeah.
But otherwise I found it too depressing and a little bit too much to swallow, despite the fact that it's got that whole life is hard mantra, and it's not trying to sugarcoat anything. And this is all, not trying to say that they should have, but when you're trying to enjoy a film, it becomes more difficult to enjoy. And I think the one thing that he cared for being his son, or one thing he cared for more than anything, he kind of lost at the end. Like, yeah,
True.
like, I mean, he's going to see him, and
Yeah.
you kind of hope they gave him that little nugget that, oh, maybe someone's going to publish him, or who knows what's going to happen. Like, they do set it up to have a little bit of positivity, but he doesn't end the movie with his son, and that was even more harder for me to swallow.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty depressing watch.
It was a depressing film.
The best way for me to describe this film is that it's a character study. Like, it's more about him as a character than the events. The events are there to help develop his character, I guess.
Yep.
I thought the soundtrack was pretty good throughout the film, and it helped tell the story and the surroundings. Like, throughout, there was a lot of like music that sort of the beats were in the right sort of beat to what was happening in the film. Like, probably the one that stood out the most was when Day and Bambi are vacuuming together, and I thought that was like really upbeat. They're earning a little bit of cash together, they're having a bit of fun together, and then that sort of blows up from there. So I liked the music in the background.
It's like the only positive scene in the film, and it goes to about 7 seconds.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect like film for Netflix.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm still not sold that it's a story of hope. Like, I still, like you said, it's very like it's a lot to take in. It's a very down and out sort of film.
But then if he ends up and, hey mate, you're going to be a published author, here's a house, and you know what, your girlfriend, she's out of jail.
Yeah.
Like, then you sit there and go
Get the
like,
kid back
you're trying to paint this picture of a really tough world.
Yeah.
I think they wanted that feeling. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to watch a movie and enjoy it, that stands in the way. As sad as it is.
Did anyone use IMDb to look anything up?
Definitely.
Throughout the film? Yeah.
So Glenn Plummer, who plays
good.
Shrimp,
He was my IMDb as well.
is in Saw 2.
Okay, Saw 2.
And because as soon as I saw him, I'm like, man, you are so familiar. And he's been in tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Scrolling around. I'm like, Saw 2, of course, in that house. And kind of takes the lead a little bit. Does he get like a big thing in the back of his head, I think? Is that how he dies? Gets like the big baseball bat with the nails
I think
in the back of his head. From that
the other guy kills
steroids
him with
guy.
it. Yeah, he kills him with it.
Anyway, good to see him again.
He's the one that's trying to lead kind of in Saw 2, yeah.
Well, Glenn Plummer, he was my IMDb as well, but for a different film. So at school, I taught the film Speed multiple times. So he's the dude in the car that Keanu Reeves gets into in Speed and steals the car off him, and like he's the guy that's like screaming in the car while he's like Keanu's trying to get on the bus.
How different does he look?
A lot younger, but the same guy. I was
younger.
like, oh, okay, I know now where I know you. Peter?
The beauty of IMDb.
Yeah,
That's why we have this
yeah.
segment. How often do you watch a movie and you're like, who's that guy?
I actually didn't jump on at all.
Well, because it's the first, maybe?
No, not the first, no. But I saw Glenn Plummer straight away. I'm like, that's the guy from Saw 2. Yes. So I didn't jump on for that. But no, I didn't jump on at all,
I
actually.
didn't pick it up on Saw. I also did it for Keke Palmer, even though I know Keke Palmer and I love her in True Jackson VP. But I knew it was Keke Palmer. I just wanted to double check. You remember True Jackson?
Yeah, is that her, is it?
Yeah, the girl in jail.
That's True Jackson?
Yeah.
Ah,
also,
okay.
she's in Shrink with Kevin Spacey, which is a really good movie.
I didn't even recognise her as True Jackson. There you go.
It's a kids show.
Absolute kid show. We had good fun watching it though.
Give it a lot.
You got any questions that you want to ask?
My question was actually. I'm not sure if I missed it. Do we know why the mum was in jail? Why Keke Palmer was in jail?
No, we don't.
I don't think we ever got to explain that. No, good. I'm just making sure.
Mine was about the horses being in the project. We spoke about it for about 5 minutes.
What do you got, Jesse?
Why was this film... Like, it's not a bad film, so why was it shelved for 3 years before it was actually released?
Kind of spoke about it at the start.
We did speak about it at the start, so...
Yeah.
And I'm confused as well as when it was released, because... Have either of you seen Moonlight?
No.
No, I haven't yet.
Because Moonlight...
But around at the same time.
Around the same time. Yeah. So I'm confused as to why... Like, it probably could have done a lot better if it was released earlier.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a bit confused with that. The other thing that I wanted to ask was, what does having power in this film mean as well? Because the gangsters, or they think it's having, like, using violence. Bambi thinks it's being smart, having an education, and the cops, like, think it's cleaning the streets up, I guess. So they just want to clean the streets up. So to me, power is like a bit of a confusing sort of thing in this film.
Yeah, it means different things to different people, doesn't it? And they all use it in their own way.
Never feels like a power struggle anywhere, though.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, no one seems to have power over someone else.
But like to end a film, like, you sort of like want to have this message that says, hey, this is where the real power stands, or where we think it stands, but it was sort of just this confused
it stands differently for different people, I guess, as much as you can say.
Good answer, Heater and MJ.
No, it's Heater.
It's Heater. All right, so on this podcast, we give our film a rating out of 5, and we always average it out to see what our overall response is. MJ, what do you reckon?
Yeah, so whilst I can appreciate the raw and emotional reality of the story being told, the film can sometimes cross the line of being too unsettling. It's one thing to paint a picture of a dark and brutal side of the world, but I think I just needed a few more positive leads to stop me from feeling constantly horrified for Bambi and Day. But it's a pretty decent film, but I couldn't rush back to watch it again. 2.5 stars.
I thought you were going to say 2.5. just based on what you're saying, like, you're going with 2.5.
I had a real 2.5 feel,
yeah.
You know.
I thought it was a well-made film. Highlighted the struggle many people have living under a broken system, which is supposed to be there to support everyone. Thought it was well-paced throughout. Like, the pace was fairly good. Some really good acting, but I couldn't help feel that it was a little bit too similar to Moonlight and maybe released at the wrong time. Like, I feel like that 3-year gap just probably didn't need to happen. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. Heater.
I liked it. I thought it was a good film. It did well in portraying the struggles that Bambi faced being released from prison. I didn't think it was anything amazing, but a pretty good, solid film, and had a great performance from the lead as well. I give it a 3.
Awesome. So add those up. What is our average out of 5?
2.83.
2.83.
We have that 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. That's
yep.
crazy. 2.83 out of 5. So
This is better than iBoy.
oh, look out.
It was.
Oh, okay. Didn't you give it the same thing?
Okay, I gave it a 3. But this is a higher 3.
Ah, higher 3. All right, so
Still got to know what's better.
we're on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and Instagram at FlixForum. We will have a question up there to relate to this film this week. The question this week is, do you think Day will be reunited with his parents? Will it happen with both, or one, or none? It's a tough one.
I kind of don't think you will.
That's really... To come out of a movie thinking that's bad.
Well, that's the thing.
It's going to be a massissive struggle for it to happen.
I thought they were going to give me something at the end to be like... I know it's like, oh, you know, this girl is getting people to look at my manuscript or whatever.
Yeah.
That's something, but I wanted a little... Like, they didn't have to end without each other. I don't know.
Even if he gets a payment for this manuscript or this book... he's not going to have an income. There's no income that's continually coming in.
I worry for them. They're good people.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. You probably know that because you're probably listening to us on one of those, but please subscribe if you can. Give us a rating, a positive rating. Next week, we're back into the 2017 films. We're looking at the comedy drama Girlfriend's Day. It's directed by Michael Stevenson. It stars Bob Odenkirk, Amber Tamblyn, Rich Summer, Natasha Lyonne, Andy Richer, and Stacey Keach. So get on board, watch the film so you can follow along with our discussion. As usual, always have a good time.
Please have a good time.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, we hope
it's been good.
Yeah, it's been good. So we will see you all next week.
See you then.
See ya.